Welcome back on the channel, guys. On the left, the Xiaomi 17 Pro with the latest Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5. On the right, the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra with now the Snapdragon 8 Elite that is already the old generation. Both of these SoCs are built on the 3nm process, but this thing here, the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5, is the latest and greatest from Qualcomm. Also, it uses the Adreno 840 GPU versus the Adreno 830. Again, it's using the Orion cores, but we have a different setup here. 2 cores running at 4.61 GHz versus 2 cores running at 4.47 GHz, which is already using the Snapdragon 8 Elite for Galaxy. It's a bit overclocked compared to the regular Snapdragon 8 Elite. 6 cores running at 3.63 GHz versus 6 cores running at 3.53 GHz. So, guys, in this video, I'm going to be testing mainly and explicitly the Xiaomi 17 Pro, but I'm gonna throw in here the Galaxy S25 Ultra just for comparisons. And I know this is only the little Xiaomi 17 Pro, measuring only 6.3 inches. And there is also the Xiaomi 17 Pro Max at a whopping 6.9 inches. And there are differences in the vapor chamber, which is the cooling, because the smaller 17 Pro is using 4,637 square millimeters vapor chamber versus the 5,533 square millimeters on the bigger Xiaomi 17 Pro Max. And I'm gonna be getting this hopefully in the next 2 weeks. So the first thing I would like to check is if the Xiaomi 17 Pro is able to survive the wildlife extreme stress test by 3D Mark. This is a 20 rounds of extreme torture for the phones. By the way, I'm not gonna be using the performance profile, all right? I just wanna do this stock right now. I wanna see first if the phone is able to survive like that. What I'm talking about is the mode, guys. Right now we do have the balance one, but there is also a performance one which will improve performance, but also will consume more battery, more power, yeah, we're gonna get more hit. I'm gonna be using auto brightness settings on both them phones, alright, to just allow them to do what they will usually do if they are, let's say, outside in the nature. And I have charged both phones at exactly the same 48%, alright. Of course, the battery setup here is different. I have charged both phones at 47%, and it's time to check the baseline temps. 27.2 for the S25 Ultra and 28.2 for the Xiaomi 17 Pro, and I have at home something like 20.6 Celsius, guys. So the first big question is going to be, will the Xiaomi 17 Pro with the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 survive 20 rounds of 3D Mark? Let's try to see how far we get. I'm gonna measure the temp every 5 rounds. We have 20 rounds in total, so 4 measurements, crossing the fingers that both phones are gonna make it. I know this one is gonna make it. I really hope that the 17 Pro is gonna make it as well. All right, we are now in round number 5 and it's time to measure some temps. Okay, so we have 36.5 for the S25 Ultra, already 40 Celsius. For the Xiaomi 17 Pro, I really hope that the phone is gonna survive another 15 rounds. Well, let's make it to the next checkpoint. All right, guys, round number 10 on both phones. It's time to check the temps. Okay, 38.6 for the Galaxy S25 Ultra and 45.6 for the Xiaomi 17 Pro. And I really hope that the higher temp is not going to result into aggressive throttling, thus limiting the performance. I have kind of an indication already from the FPS or the frames per seconds that are rendered here in real time, as I can compare. But of course, at the end, we are going to know the nitty-gritty details, provided that the Xiaomi 17 Pro is able to sustain another 10 rounds. So far, so good. Let's go to the next checkpoint. We are in round number 14, guys, and I'm making these polls for you to see how in round number 14 the S25 Ultra is outputting more FPS and the Xiaomi 17 Pro is struggling, I guess, due to some throttling. We'll need to find this out. As you can see here, the image sometimes isn't that smooth. And I really hope that this is not going to directly translate into some excessive throttling. Sometimes it's the other way around, like the S25 Ultra in some areas is scoring lower FPS, at least what I can see in real time. But we are now approaching round number 15. Okay, 39.5 for the S25 Ultra. What is the Xiaomi doing? 47.1. So I really hope that the phone is going to endure another 5 rounds, because if that happens, then yeah, this is going to be a good indication that Xiaomi are getting this under control, right? Because some of the earlier versions, not sure if it was the Xiaomi 15 Pro or the one before the 14, they were not even able to finish 20 loops just like that. And if that happens here, which was also the case, I do believe, with the Xiaomi 15 Ultra, then this is going to be a good indication. Maybe some tuning in terms of how aggressive the throttling is, maybe, you know, optimized solutions for cooling like this vapor chamber that they included. We will have to find this out, but the next checkpoint and the final one is going to be after 5 rounds. Let's go there. Another pulse in round number 17, where the roles are just the opposite. The Xiaomi is able to output a smoother image and the S25 Ultra is somehow stuttering. But then again, guys, this thing here is nothing. Let's just hope that both phones are gonna make it to the end, and then you're gonna see the FPS performance in every and each individual round. We only have to go 3 more rounds, but just in case, let's measure temps right now. Almost 40 Celsius for the S25 Ultra and 47.3 for the Xiaomi 17 Pro, guys. More hit. Does this mean more performance? This is what we need to find out, because remember, when it gets too hot, some of those phones are going to engage with throttling, meaning they will limit the performance to try to drop the heat. So heat is always the enemy for prolonged, sustained performance. Peak performance is a whole other story. You can get something like a crazy good result just for a shorter period of time. That's not what I'm looking for. That's not what you're looking for. You want to get these phones and play hours of games without burning your fingers, and of course without sacrificing FPS. So let's just see at the end. Now, of course, the S25 Ultra has a bit of an advantage, like a physical advantage, just having a bigger size, meaning that it's able to conduct heat better, bigger surface. But alright, Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5, maybe even more optimized than the Snapdragon 8 Elite. Okay, 2 more rounds until the final results. Round number 20, guys. This is the final loop. This one, I'm gonna leave it like this. No fast motion here. Almost 40 Celsius for the S25 Ultra and 47.4 for the Xiaomi 17 Pro. Now, you know, I'm running here the latest One UI stable. So this is the stable version here, and on the Xiaomi 17 Pro I'm also running the latest stable update. That was just the first update from yesterday since I got the device out of the box, and I just think that the Xiaomi 17 Pro is going to finish this test, and it was able to finish it before the S25 Ultra. Okay, now the most interesting part. Jesus Christ, the scores aren't good for the Xiaomi. OMG, what has happened here, guys? 39.9 Celsius at the end for the S25 Ultra, 47.6, but what the heck happened here, guys? The best loop score, 5,981 on the Xiaomi versus almost 6,803 for the S25 Ultra. Absolutely killed the Xiaomi. The lowest loop score also higher than the Xiaomi, okay? So the stability rating, guys, is a calculation between the best loop score and the lowest loop score. So even the stability is a bit higher than what we get on Xiaomi, but why are we getting this best loop score? This is just crazy. All right, because yesterday I did another test and I got like a similar score. Wasn't really great. And guys, now we can see the S25 Ultra scored the best score at the beginning, okay, 6,800, which the Xiaomi did as well with almost 6,000 here. We got a big dip here in round number 14, and guys, the performance of the S25 Ultra was a bit more stable. So as we go here, we can see loop number 14 is the lowest loop score. Yep, 3,067, loop number 14. All right, as the S25 Ultra got a bit more stable performance, the performance range you can see here, we have the loop scores like loop 1, this is the best frame rate, the green one here and green one here as well, versus the worst loop, that is actually loop 14, and the worst loop for the S25 Ultra is almost at the end with the loop 19, guys. Both phones started at 47% of a battery and they depleted exactly the same, so down to 34%. The temperature on the S25 Ultra was from 26 to 43, from 28 to 51 Celsius. Internal measurements here, guys, of the Xiaomi 17 Pro. I was able to measure like 47 plus with my 10 gun, and then here, guys, we have an indication the battery and the frame rate. I can also click here on the custom chart and put the temperature. So right now we can see this is the frame rate, all right, and then we have this blue line that is the battery, and this brown line here is the temperature. And you can see the gap is a bit more narrow here on the S25 Ultra and a big wider gap here on the Xiaomi 17 Pro. The battery depleting and the temperature rising, so the gap here is a bit bigger. But what the heck happened, guys? Alright guys, I recharged the phones back to 40% battery, and I also left them outside, which is something like 12 Celsius, to cool down. Right now, S25 Ultra 28.4, 25.8 for the Xiaomi. Now what I'm gonna do, guys, on the Xiaomi 17 Pro, I'm gonna go for the performance mode, all right? This is gonna give me everything. This is gonna hopefully give me the best performance, but at the cost of excessive heat, and we kind of know where this thing can go. Let's hope that's not the case. On the S25 Ultra, I'm gonna be using Thermal Guardian. If you don't know, guys, you can download good Guardians, and they have a suite of mods. The Thermal Guardian will allow you to set the thermal threshold, and you can increase it with +2 Celsius, which means that the phone is actually going to tolerate more heat. You can also, of course, limit this if you don't want your phone to generate a lot of heat, but with this setting, hopefully we're going to be able to take more performance. Wildlife extreme stress test here and here as well. We're starting another go with 20 rounds. Let's see if the Xiaomi is gonna survive again, and if it does, let's see if the Xiaomi 17 Pro is gonna be able to beat the S25 Ultra. Now, the baseline temps 28.5 for the S25 Ultra, 28.2, very similar by the Xiaomi 17 Pro. What I want to see manifested is this 20% increase in almost everything: CPU, GPU efficiency. Now, with this type of tools, we cannot really measure efficiency so much. We have PerfDoc and other things as well, and you probably need to also like root the phone to just be able to read directly raw data from the sensors and from some of the modes. But let's see what we're gonna get at the end. Two big tasks here. The first one for the Xiaomi 17 Pro to survive, and second, if that's a yes for the first one, second for the Xiaomi 17 Pro to show us some better results in 20 loops compared to the S25 Ultra. And yes, I know this is the smaller version, but in 2 weeks time I'm gonna put on this desk the Xiaomi 17 Pro Max. Now let's go to the first checkpoint. Alright guys, round number 5. Let's measure some temps. 39.4 already for the S25 Ultra and 40 Celsius for the Xiaomi 17 Pro. So you can see that playing with the Thermal Guardian and adjusting the thermal thresholds can help, and hopefully the performance mode will put the Xiaomi 17 Pro in an unleash mode and get us through this test and wins it despite the smaller 6.3-inch body. Alright, let's go to the next checkpoint. Alright guys, we are engaging with round number 10 and 41.1. So the S25 Ultra is already using more power and thus hitting more versus previously. 46, 40, 17 Pro. And this is interesting because remember the previous test with the balance mode was almost like similar, or probably even like 1 Celsius more, which means that Xiaomi could have adapted some different tuning on the balance profile and on the performance profile. So far so good. If the phone is able to survive in the performance profile, then even better. And I really hope that at the end the Xiaomi 17 Pro is gonna show us the true face of the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5. Let's make it to the next checkpoint in 5 rounds. We're about to enter round number 15. It's time to measure again. 41.7 for the S25 Ultra and 47.1. So the Xiaomi 17 Pro is already pumping. 47, the internal readings will probably tell us later that it's 51 inside, but on the surface is very, very hot. Now the whole question is, will this actually be something for a purpose, or it's going to defeat the purpose, like producing all that heat will kind of throttle the performance? This is what I'm going to be looking forward to understand, hopefully after the last checkpoint in 5 rounds. Let's go. The end of round number 19. By this time, guys, that's not a benchmark anymore, it's more like a slideshow, but nevertheless, let's check. 42.1 for the S25 Ultra. Just by hovering with my hand, I can feel the heat. Okay. 48.4 for the Xiaomi 17 Pro, guys. But I'm not sure if the Xiaomi 17 Pro is gonna win in terms of best loop score, and of course in terms of stability, which we know is kind of the best loop score divided by the lowest loop score. So I'm not going to fast forward this one because I just want you to see how both phones are really struggling, and then again enjoy the slideshow with me as I'm thrilled to see the final results. But I'm recording this video for like more than 1 hour. It's 1 hour and 10 minutes, and I can tell you guys, the phones are hitting up like crazy. OMG! The highest loop score winner still the S25 Ultra with 6,757 versus this time better than last time, but still less, 6,324. The lowest loop score 3,800 versus 3,300, guys, and the stability rating again, yeah, 56.9% versus 53%. So the S25 Ultra clearly winning, and we can see it has the same performance over time. The highest loop score is in the beginning, and then dropping, guys, until we arrive at the end. And we kind of see the similar pattern here on the 17 Pro as well. Started very strong, highest loop score here, and then somewhere around loop number 14, what is happening, guys? Boom, the lowest loop score. Then recovers the performance a bit and then goes down. In terms of battery, guys, from 40% to 25, from 40% to 26, okay, a bit similar, I would say. FPS, 10 FPS the lowest one versus 16, and 48 FPS the highest one versus 48, so this is a bit more similar. Temperature, guys, 25 Celsius to 52, all right, 1 Celsius more from the internal readings, 45. This is absolutely killing the S25, and this is the reality right now, guys. So the S25 Ultra, being the bigger phone with the older chip, the Snapdragon 8 Elite, was able to win my test with the smaller phone, with the clear physical disadvantage that it's just a tinier phone, all right, like less surface to kind of get the heat away, right? So this might be reason number one, but in 2 weeks time we will return to this table and we're going to be putting here the Xiaomi 17 Pro Max, all right? And then I really hope that the S25 Ultra is going to lose. Right now what we can see is this thing here, okay, because I promise you something interesting. I want to share the Geekbench 6 with you guys, and luckily Geekbench 6 keeps everything, like all the history is there. For example, this was my first ever result with this phone like almost 10 months ago, and I only have 2 results with this phone. This was out of the box, okay, still higher than the S25 Ultra on the single core score. The multi-core score here was better, but then, guys, I updated the phone and I also cooled it down a bit and I was able to get something better. So not significantly like 20% over, but still slightly better, guys. Anyway, this is what I'm getting here, guys. I really hope that you enjoy these videos. It takes a lot of time to work on them, and of course we will return with some more things like the CPU throttling test. This is going to be a killer test on these two phones, guys. I promise you guys, if you think the 3D Mark is able to burn those phones, you did not see my videos with this test running in a pop-up window and actually making all phones suffer. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Hit me down below with your comments. Stay safe, VST over, and bye.